Uh, you know what? You know what time it is?
Hey, it's game time. The best time of the whole stream. You want to take the first one?
Sure. So y'all remember? And Doom also called this out correctly. That it's like that seems dubious. You know when Microsoft said they're buying Activision, and rightfully so, everyone's like, hmm, that doesn't that doesn't seem good. um, Sony CEO has since come out to push back on the terms that are being negotiated currently about the Activision deal. So part of this came out a little while ago, but we're kind of coming back around to it because that deal is still being talked about. So the Activision deal, which would include the Call of Duty games being on Sony consoles, goes until 2024. So Microsoft is not going to violate that deal. That's what was already intact. And the conversations, whether they haven't necessarily broken down, but the pushback that Sony was giving to Phil Spencer, who said like, "Yeah, we're eventually gonna," he effectively just confirmed like, "Yeah, effectively we're gonna take Call of Duty off of Sony." That's what he said. Like he
Yoink.
might have tried to cloud it a little bit, but it's like, no, that's what you mean. Sony's CEO, sorry, let me pull it back up. Uh, the current 3 year deal would add 3 years onto that 2024, push it out to 2027, saying that that's effectively untenable for Sony gamers because they have come, a lot of them grown up playing Call of Duty on Sony platforms. Now, granted, it's 2022 right now. I think they'll figure something out,
They
but
got
there's so
time.
much of a content grab happening between studios.
hmm
Would Microsoft really pull the trigger and be like, no, that's all we're offering you?
I
And
mean, I think we talked about this before. Like, but not to say like Sony isn't a big company, but and Microsoft is obviously a big company, but like Microsoft like has the money to say I don't care, and I want it and you can't have it and I don't care. It's like movies and music and the video game components of Sony like are all like that's a huge industry, but is it Microsoft big? Question mark, dot, dot, dot. If you asked me 6 months ago when we were doing the shows on the Reggie Deggy, I probably would have been able to say definitively yes, because it's right here in my notes, but I didn't check. But I'm pretty sure that they're
we're
in
getting
two different echelons of power. It's like, yes, to the common person, could you beat Yamcha from Dragon Ball Z? No, you could not. But also, could you beat Goku? No, you could not. But we all know that Yamcha and Goku are very different echelons of power, and like that's understanding that perception of how big the company, like how big these big companies are relative to each other. Like Microsoft could choose to not release any IP on different consoles and just eat them and say like these are all on Xbox now. You need to be on PC or Xbox to play these games, otherwise fuck off. Like that's the
right.
way it is. And I Microsoft could do that and I don't think Sony is in the position to do that same thing. Not without repercussions. Where Microsoft could do it and be like, I don't care. I was like, we released a new computer and everybody's buying it, and that's where a whole bunch of money comes from for us. So it's like for
Yeah.
Sony, they were like, all right, we can choose not to release this IP on Xbox, but like Venom 3 needs to slap, or else we will not be okay.
Oh, Venom.
Yeah, real quick.
Ugh.
In the chat, we got Microsoft has bought Minecraft like it was nothing. Yeah, I remember that was a huge deal. Like mine at the time, Minecraft was like the biggest, most played game, like in like globally. Like I can't. I used to have like a encapsulation of like, oh, at the time they had sold like this many copies of Minecraft and it has this many daily concurrent players and all that stuff. I don't have the figures anymore, but like Minecraft is like the defining game of like a of an era, and they were just like, yo, Notch, what if we just gave you like bonkers money and could we have Minecraft? And he was like, that sounds cool. And then like immediately, like several months later, he was very much like, I made a mistake. I want Minecraft back, but it was too late.
It's too late.
But yeah, that is a good point. Microsoft bought Minecraft like it was nothing. Like they have, I mean, and it was a huge investment for them, which has paid off like multiple times over, like the merchandising and the auxiliary games and all that stuff. But like all of that to say, like Microsoft is in a different echelon of big company to Sony. Like it's both as big as they are. It's a different thing.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
Oh hey, cool. We got the figures. Yeah, Fat Loser 293. You're doing the work.
Goodness.
Yeah, so real quick, Sony's net worth as of September 21st was 86 billion, and Microsoft's net worth is, hold up, is that supposed to be 178.2 billion, or is that 17 or is that 1782 billion? I'm willing to bet that that is the right way that you wrote that. That is a massive difference in power level. Like you could read Sony's power level with a scouter. You cannot read Microsoft's power level with a scouter.
Oh yeah, you never get to rip it off the sword because say it's over 9,000 because you just blow up.
Yep.
Thank you for that. We appreciate it.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Yep, that's you typed that right. That's accurate. Yep.
Gosh, the one thing I love that I love the app that we're using, but it really needs a producer function so that somebody could just run some of the things behind the scenes so we could grab notes. Once we're up here running the show, sometimes it can be a little hard to do that. Yeah, so thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Coming in with the alley-oop.
With the assist. So
alrighty. Oh, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll take the next one with AI voice acting. And I will say one specific reason I'm concerned about this. Where we're coming from is Altered AI is a company that's working on AI voicing. And they were talking about, they listed Ninja Theory as one of their companies, partner companies, which led a lot of people on Twitter to say, "Oh, hand raise, is that coming into any new games like Hellblade, Sense's Saga, the sequel to the release that came out a couple years ago?" Ninja Theory confirmed that no, that's not happening. But there's an asterisk, there's a note that's very important, and I'm going to reference it to movies. They said they were going to use AI voice placeholders. So kind of like if you needed to watch how a cinematic was going to work, you could have the AI put in the text of, hey, this is the script that's going to be used, speak it for us just so we can see how it runs and so on and so forth. The problem, and so I'm going to use a movie analogy, but there's some great YouTube videos about soundtracks, movie scores sounding the same because a director uses a sample track in place, right? They use this one sound of like, oh, I'm going to use this for the love theme just temporarily, right? But the problem is once you've gotten so used to that being the sound that director will go to the composer and be like, hey, I really like that though. Can you make it sound like that? It puts the composer in a difficult position because I really would like to make something new, but it ends up just kind of making these facsimile versions of scores. And to be clear, there's some movies that made some fantastic sounds in the last decade and stuff. So it's not affecting every movie, but there's definitely a sameness that has happened.
Yeah, there's like the science fiction sound. There's like the adventure. Yeah, there's the adventure movie sound. Like there's certain kind of like I guess like audio motifs that directors want for films because they're like, oh man, I watched I was about to say what's it called? I watched Pacific Rim, and Pacific Rim was great because you got something new that went along with like the action movie monster genre, just as opposed to like, you know, Godzilla sounds of wah, da, 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 wah, or Batman or whatever. And you know, we got something creative. But there's definitely you fall into those pitfalls where, you know, when you think of like John Williams, it's like, you know, Superman, Indiana Jones, Star Wars. Like there's a couple of like themes, or like there's a couple of theme songs where you're listening to and like, is this Superman or is this Star Wars? Hold up, or is this Indiana Jones? It's like, and you can't quite tell. And
Yeah.
it's like some of it like. Sometimes the problem is not problem, but sometimes where you fall into is that composers have like a unique sound that like you like, but like the big pitfall is when like you as a director say, you know, like pick any song that you could remember from any Transformers movie, like the I
I
don't
can remember the Linkin Park song. That's about it.
the only song that has like memorable music for Transformers is like the old like what was it, late 80s and early 90s animated Transformers film. It's like you could pick out like almost every song from that soundtrack. Granted, a lot of them were stuff like that was some of them were stuff that was written for the movie, and some of it was just
Mhm.
like, you know, stuff that they wanted to use, like "Dare to Be Stupid" by Weird Al, which seems like a crazy choice, but like it worked for the context. But like other times, you just have like you just end up with just like Batman like promo music for most of the stuff.
Yeah. So and with voice acting already being devalued so much, this makes me really worried. And just like,
Yeah.
and very few studios are just us as a culture have not shown a capacity to use cool tools responsibly or in an ethically responsible way. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit of asking if you can and not asking if you should kind of thing. It's like it's a Google Glasses problem. It's a Google Glasses problem.
Yes, bingo, bingo.
It's not quite as bad as Google Glasses, but it is a little bit of I don't want you to get too attached to using this and think that it's just as good as hiring a voice actor, because it's not.
Right. Let's see. What do we got
Uh,
next?
Here we go. Let's see. Can you reproduce tattoos in video games? Interesting. Tattoo artist James Hayden contends you can't. While this type of suit has been thrown out in the past, an Ohio judge is allowing a trial to continue with a jury to determine if 2K defense. Excuse me. 2K defense is valid against the claim that tattoo artist James Hayden has made regarding his copyright tattoos, which he penned for NBA superstar LeBron James and more. I guess the crux of it is basically like, if for art that is created for people in real space, in meat space, because you're creating a digital version of that person, can you also replicate the art that is on them in that digital copy?
Right.
And for this tattoo artist James Hayden, who like made the tattoo, designed the tattoo art, or the art of the tattoo for what would be a tattoo for LeBron James, is saying like, yo, I made that for him, not so you could mimic it and copy it.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think the issue though is gonna be because he did copyright the specific tattoos, but
Wise choice.
wise choice. But I think the problem is going to come where it's like, okay, but LeBron James has been you could see his photos all over the internet. Photographers and the NBA can license his image in a certain way, Nike and stuff like that. So now that's part of why it's been thrown out before in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But the contention may be like, oh, but maybe that's actually not a fair use if he had that image copyrighted that he put, they may owe a royalty to him just like because you have
Maybe.
used it.
Mm-hmm.
So
And it might be only on like a pursuit basis where like he's not going to go after every tabloid who takes a photo of LeBron James because like his tattoo shows up in the photo, and you like, yo, if you want to print that, you got to pay me money. Like he might not bother, but if he's going after these folks because for 2K, because they're a big company and like it's worth the effort, then yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I have no idea. We'll be interested to see where that goes.
Oh, this is great. Go for it.
Yeah, Ted Lasso fans are going to enjoy playing as the fictional soccer football team AFC Richmond in FIFA 2023. So you'll be able to play as the iconic team in specific modes and kickoff and online for the rest of the World League. You can also play at Nelson Road Stadium, so you can actually be inside the stadium you see in the show. Along with there's a number of unlockables you'll be able to get September 30th when this releases. Some of them are kind of Easter eggs things from the show, and you better believe, yes, the Believe poster is included
Nice.
as one of those unlockables. So,
Nice.
Yeah, that's
that's cool news for FIFA. Whereas like before, all we would talk about is their uses of loot boxes. It's like this is a neat addition to the game.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's it for game time.
Cool.
And well, I know we're gonna talk more.
We have a lot more game time. That's kind of we might be lying to you, and we are lying to you.
What are you trying? What? Not yeah, that was a lie.